Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, I'm here to talk to you about Shiny Treasures EX and give you the wonderful news that, well, as much as some of these cards are very expensive, we talked the other day about the most expensive cards in the set. I will link that video in the description. The good news is, oh, these prices are already coming down. They are already coming down pretty gosh darn dramatically. So let's start off with the biggest, baddest, most expensive, most sought after card in the set. It's Iono. And when I showed you Iono the other day, I told you this was an 85,000 yen card, which was $573. That's a very expensive card. That is one which is, it's going to break the bank a little bit. Now, it's quite a lot cheaper. It's come down to 70,000 yen. Now, to be clear, 70,000 yen is not cheap. All right? Want that on the record right away. we need to remember that. 70,000 yen, you're still talking somewhere in the region of $477, all right? It's still significant amount of money. However, we've seen a fairly significant drop. It's dropped by 15,000 yen, which is 18%. That is an 18% drop, and bearing in mind, it's been like 2 days since I showed you the price of this card. To be going down 18% in the space of a couple of days is really quite impressive. And Iono's never going to get cheap, alright? The Iono from Powder Evolved is still not cheap, and it's never going to be cheap. That is, as it stands at the moment, the big card from the Scarlet and Violet era. Although it's still a sub-$100 card, and the idea that that is the big card from the Scarlet and Violet era so far is honestly kind of amazing, and I love it. To be fair, some of the cards from 151 are kind of creeping up there as well. But look, the point is, that is one of the most expensive cards in the Scarlet and Violet era right now, and it's like a sub-$100 card. But it's still pretty gosh darned expensive. Yeah, the Charizard from 151 is probably actually, it's still holding a little bit higher, alright? Fine. But the point is, it's still an expensive card. But it's not compared to some of the ones we've seen in previous years. This is still the new Iono, the one from Shiny Treasures EX. It is going to remain one of the most expensive cards in the set. Well, the most expensive card in the set. It's going to remain one of the most expensive cards in the Scarlet and Violet era. But as an 18% drop in the space of a couple of days, these prices are crashing very nicely indeed. Not to go completely in order, but the other one I want to talk about quickly is that Pikachu. When I showed you Pikachu the other day, I told you it was a 22,000 yen card at $148. And I told you this was a bit weird because it's a regular shiny. Not a special illustration rare, not a shiny EX, none of which incidentally are holding any value. Not a gold card, none of which incidentally are holding any value. And yes, I'm including the ones I put on the screen that really should be holding some value. Nah, mate, they're super cheap. But Pikachu's a regular shiny, which has gone up to 22,000 yen, which was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I told you there are 129 regular shinies in the set. So there was kind of a hint of an explanation, should we say, whereby, well, let's assume there's 3 shiny per box, and there aren't 3 shiny per box, alright? Because the illustration rares kind of come in as well. But let's say you get 3 per box, that's 43 boxes before you guarantee to pull a Pikachu, and obviously it's not actually a guarantee, it's a statistical likelihood, because you could pull 1,000 boxes out and open them and not pull a Pikachu from them. But it was still ridiculous given, the second highest one on the list. Pikachu was 22,000 yen. The only other one that made it onto the list was Mimikyu at 4,500. That's ridiculous. Well, the good news is that Pikachu is crashing quite nicely. As I sit here at the moment, we are talking about 16,000 yen. It has gone from 22,000 yen to 16,000 yen. That is a significant drop-off. And since I'm in the mood to work out some percentages, let's work that out as a percentage. It's fallen down by 6,000. It was originally 22,000. That is a 27% drop. That is more than a quarter. Just straight off the bat. A quarter be 5.5. It's 6. So, yeah. That's 2 days. 27%. This is one of the reasons I always tell you guys not to be buying these singles straight away. Why I tell you to kind of wait a little bit to get there, because actually it takes a little while for them to actually settle down at where they're going to be. And people were paying 22,000 yen when they could have waited literally 2 days and saved themselves more than a quarter. That sounds pretty good to me. The number 2 card very obviously was the Charizard. It was always going to be the Charizard. The special illustration rare by Akira Igawa. It's ridiculous. That was inevitable. Now, I will say it's actually sold out. As I record, as I sit and look, it's sold out. But the most recent I saw it for... No, I literally refreshed the page and it's back in stock. Literally, the time it took me to say that and refresh the page, it's back. Awesome. Last time I showed it to you, it was 45,000 yen, which was $304. That's kind of absurd. Well, now it's dropped to 35,000. And again, I'm not saying 35,000 yen is ridiculously cheap. 35,000 yen, you're still talking $239. Let's not pretend this is some super cheap card, all right? But we can pretend that is a fairly significant drop-off. It's fallen by 10,000 yen in the space of a couple of days. And again, I'm in a percentage-y kind of mood today, so it's dropped by 10,000 yen. It was originally 45,000 yen. That represents a 22% drop. And these drops are very significant. You know, I've shown you 3 cards so far. Iono dropped by 18%. Charizard dropped by 22%. Pikachu dropped by 27%. These are cards which are, you know, among the very best cards in the set, which are dropping precipitously. Just absolutely crashing. If you want another example, I do. How about the only artwork rare that made the list? The artwork rare, the illustration rare of Mimikyu. Remember, artwork rare is the Japanese phrasing, illustration rare is the English phrasing. This Mimikyu, clearly a great card, all right? Everybody loves this Mimikyu. We're getting it as an Elite Trainer Box promo. And when I showed it to you before, it was 8,500 yen, which admittedly is not a hugely expensive card. It was, what, a $57 card, but it's still a $57 card as an artwork rare. That seemed overly high. Oh, this one be crashing, ladies and gentlemen. This one be crashing. This one's gone down to 4,500 yen. Now, again, 4,500 yen, it's not nothing. 4,500 yen, by today's exchange rate, comes in at roughly $31. Which is still way too much for, as far as I'm concerned at least, for a regular artwork rare, especially when there's only 4 in the set. But as a percentage, that's kind of ridiculous. Because it's fallen by 4,000. It was only 8,500 to begin with. That's a 47% drop. It's been 2 days. I literally let the weekend happen. And then I came back and took a second look. And this Mimikyu, the only artwork rare that made the list before, has dropped by 47%. I kind of want to just round it up to 50, but that just seems cheeky, so I'm not going to do it. And look, we could keep doing this all day, but I'll give you one more example. I'll show you the penny. The other day, I showed you the penny. It came in at 24,000 yen. It was a $162 card. And you know where we're going with this, right? Obviously, it's fallen. As I sit here right now, it's fallen down to an $18,000 yen card. $18,000 would be absolutely ridiculous. Do not pay $18,000 a penny. 18,000 yen, however, it's $123. Which is still a decent amount of money. I'm not saying these cards are, you know, super cheap. You're not going to be picking them up for $5. I am saying there has been a significant drop-off. You know, this one's fallen down by 6,000 yen. from 24,000 yen. You don't actually even need a calculator for this one. This one's really easy. This is 25%. It's exactly a quarter. That's why it's a nice one to end on. But of all the cards I've shown you here, the smallest drop was Iono, which dropped by 18%. All the rest have dropped even more than that. And, there's some that haven't dropped a huge amount. I mean, take Clive. That is a card I love from the set. That's fallen from 5,000 yen to 4,500. Again, not one for which you need a calculator. It's fallen by 500 yen. It was 5,000. It's fallen by 10%. And a lot of the time, the smaller cards, you are going to see less dramatic drops. So I'm not saying they have all dropped by 25% or 50%, but I am saying the most prominent cards have fallen really quite dramatically, and all the cards are falling. And I don't think we're done yet. I think there's plenty of room for them to keep falling, and that makes me very happy indeed. But now I want to hear from you guys. Have you picked up Shiny Treasures EX? Are you having a play with this? What have you pulled? Are you picking up singles? What have you bought? Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at Lawasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Dojo, who's been a support of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.